have a new park in East Orange that we built some soccer fields because they wanted to play soccer. Have you been out there?
You talking about East Orange District Park?
Yeah. That's definitely a project I've been working on for a long time, and waiting for this project to move forward. Definitely has been a lot of issues, and we've been over the years trying to get some small improvements done on that corridor as well in order to help. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this moving forward, and hopefully a lot faster than it's been moving, because it's really needed. And like you said, there is a lot of issues that we have there, and fatalities, and I really hope that the changes that are made really brings us to a vision zero fatalities in that section. Thank you. Thank you. Can you hear me? No, just so I definitely thank you for all the work that you do, and I have to say I'm spoiled because a lot of these organizations are in my district, but like what was mentioned, they are concentrated in the Orlando area I-4 corridor, and my district does spread out a lot. But I have to say, I always tell people I love it where I live, because where I live, I always say I'm a half an hour from the beach and a half an hour from downtown Orlando, so I get the best of both worlds, right? And I live in a rural area. So I am totally spoiled. And I have chickens. Actually, the Hawks got to them, but we do have another delivery of chickens coming in July. So besides the chickens, though, and me being spoiled and where I live and being so happy, there are a lot of organizations out there who have been struggling to find theater space. And so I did get an email about the TDT Citizens Advisory Task Force, and I did send Roseanne an email. This was back in beginning of May. And I said, I'm unsure whom to address this concern to or what the proper procedure is, but I have a proposition and solution regarding the issue at hand. The problem is that there are numerous small performing arts groups who are incapable of affording performance or theater space. The solution that I suggest is constructing multiple community theaters throughout the county, which can be leased out free of charge for nonprofit performing arts groups. Thoughts? ? And then Roseanne wrote back that, thank you for your suggestions. Smaller venues throughout Orange County are needed. In addition to rent rates, Terry Olson, United Arts, have done research and identified cultural deserts where there is a lack of performance space. Co-locating at existing community centers might be an option, since we have staff that knows how to run a facility. Well, I wrote back, thank you for your attention to this matter. I wanted to bring to your attention that there is a community center desert in Orange County as well. Unfortunately, I'm facing difficulties finding suitable meeting spaces for my community meetings in my district due to a lack of community centers. I would appreciate if we could consider constructing community theaters throughout the county. Could you please provide information on the process for this? I'm aware that Decatur, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but it's in Georgia near Atlanta. They have a community theater with an annual community show that draws visitors from across the nation. It's a Christmas special. And I feel that building similar theaters in our area could increase tourism and enhance the quality of life for our residents. That Decatur Theater is, in that show that they do, is such a great example of how community theaters and community groups can bring tourism from across the nation. And that was just an innovative idea. Just this, I think the county commissioner at that time was like, oh, we want to do a Christmas show, and found this guy who was in the community. He's like, yeah, I'll do it. And they did this Christmas show, and it just became so famous that people around the world come to it. I'm going to have to share that show with all of you. So is this something I'm hoping that we can have in our cultural master plan, looking at community theaters that Orange County can own around, and then, have that space that multiple different performing groups can rent out? And then it's spread out throughout the county, so it's equally geographically spread out. Yeah, but we have TDT funds that we can use for these community centers. because that's what that money is for. So, I mean, we have millions and millions of dollars coming to Orange County. This funding is easily accessible to be able to do this, which is why I was mentioning Decatur and their program and how they're attracting to their community theater and community show people across the nation. So they're bringing in tourism for their show.
So
That's an example that we could use of how these community theaters can bring in that tourism. I also want to emphasize, though, that we hear from our citizens all the time, and we are also well in touch with our community and our citizens and what the needs are as well. I've sat on the board, and I've seen the members, and Terry, I've seen what you've done, and I know that you all try to work so hard to reach out and implement whatever you can to incorporate smaller groups, smaller organizations who are new, who haven't been around that much, who don't have the funding. But it seems like the system perhaps is preventing, because that's what I've seen. It seems like the system is preventing you and the advisory board from being able to do as much as you can do. And, you know, we're the board, I guess, like, we are the ones who set policy. I would love to hear from you, what policy ideas do you have that would make your job and the advisory job easier to be able to give a platform and more funding to these smaller groups? I know that some policies have changed to offer smaller grants, but like what's been mentioned, I mean, a lot of these organizations, they struggle for, you know, forming nonprofits. It's not easy to form a nonprofit. Writing grants, they're new. How do you reach someone who's like, okay, we see this gap. It's a gap, so it's never been filled before, and we realize there's a need for it, but they start off new. So let's say they've been together for a month, they start a new nonprofit. They don't qualify for much of anything because now no one knows who they are. They've only been existing for a month, but there's a gap. So what policies can we provide for you or do in order to help? I know I already mentioned about the community theaters. I mean, that's another thing. I mean, that's something we can do. What do you need in order to get those numbers to see how that could bring in tourism so that we can get these community theaters out there? Like, is there anything what do you need? Tell us what you need. Help us help you. Okay, so you're saying like an incubator similar to UCF's incubator for small businesses and technology and simulation type of thing. Okay, but
Yeah.
you, again, mentioned grant writing. Does an organization need to write an entire grant proposal? Can't we simplify that process where here's a question, they just put a paragraph answering that, or a couple of paragraphs? Does it have to be a whole grant proposal that you need a grant writer for and need to learn grant writing? Can we simplify that? Okay, and then the resources are held up with state legislation. All right, and what about
So you can give me a big pot of money. That'd be great. Just give me more money and we'll do fabulous work.